So, reaction channels are a guilty pleasure of mine. I find it to be so much fun watching younger generations and different cultures discover my favorite 1980s and 90s pop culture for the very first time. The problem is that I've noticed these channels tend to react to the same movies, the Hollywood blockbusters, the cult classics, the films in the AFI Top 100. The ones that made the biggest impact on the culture, and that makes perfect sense. I totally get it. These are the titles that get recommended to them the most in their comments and viewer polls. But this method also means a lot of good movies are getting neglected, and I blame Gen X for this. We actually grew up in a time when a Friday night trip to Blockbuster was part of the weekly routine, and renting 4 or 5 movies for the weekend was a common practice. The cool thing about Hollywood in the 80s and 90s is that the studios were just cranking out good mid and low budget movies all the time. They didn't have to win an Oscar or top the box office to be something worth watching. We have this amazing childhood experience and pop culture knowledge as Gen Xers, but we have somehow forgotten about many titles that these younger kids need to know about. And I am taking it upon myself to help make that happen. That's why I've compiled a list of 30 neglected 80s movies that deserve a YouTube reaction, or at least they should be part of your 80s movie watch list. P.S. There were only supposed to be 10 movies on this list when I started making this video, but so many movies popped into my head, the list expanded. So let's get started because this is going to take a minute. If you're in the mood for a good laugh and a dose of 80s nostalgia, the 1983 movie Mr. Mom, starring Michael Keaton and Terry Garr, is a really good choice. It's a feel-good role reversal flick with heart that's both hilarious and heartwarming. Amid the laughs and crazy situations, Mr. Mom touches on the importance of family and finding your way in a world that just keeps throwing you curveballs. The plot revolves around Keaton's Jack Butler, who unexpectedly finds himself out of work, while his wife, played by Gar, becomes the family breadwinner. Jack takes on the role of stay at home dad, navigating the challenges of parenting and domestic life. From battling with the vacuum cleaner to mastering the art of grocery shopping with a couple of kids in tow, Jack takes on the role of Mr. Mom with a mix of confusion, charm, and just pure comedy. Mr. Mom delivers a fun take on traditional gender roles, offering a humorous look at Jack's attempts to master the art of homemaking, and the movie provides a comical exploration of societal expectations and gender stereotypes. Mr. Mom should definitely be on your movie night list, and I definitely think it deserves a YouTube reaction. 1985's Peggy Sue Got Married features time travel plus a young Nick Cage and Jim Carrey. Do I really need to say more? The film begins with Peggy Sue, played by the fabulous Kathleen Turner, attending her high school reunion, and the nostalgia is hitting her like a ton of 80s bricks, which causes her to mysteriously pass out and then wake up back in high school in 1960. Now, Peggy Sue gets the ultimate do-over, the chance to relive her senior year in high school with all the knowledge of the future. From the high school drama to prom predicaments to the birth of rock and roll, Peggy Sue navigates it all, armed with a magical second shot at adolescence. This movie is a trip down memory lane for both Peggy Sue and the audience. The 60s soundtrack, the fashion, and the retro vibes are everywhere in this sweet exploration of the choices we make in life and the roads not taken. As Peggy Sue grapples with her past and future, you'll find yourself pondering the timeless question, what if? As of the making of this video, Peggy Sue Got Married is actually available for free on YouTube, and there is a link in the description below. When he wasn't playing Indiana Jones or Han Solo in the 80s, Harrison Ford starred in a forgotten action flick called Witness alongside Top Gun's Kelly McGillis and Die Hard's Alexander Godunov. And damn is this movie good! Witness is not your average Harrison Ford action flick. Imagine an Amish community living the peaceful life, tending to their crops and building barns. Now throw in an unlikely visitor, Ford's John Book, a tough-as-nails cop who is on the run. The plot thickens when a young Amish boy named Samuel witnesses a murder in the city. John Book steps in to protect him and his widowed mother Rachel, played by McGillis. So you've got this clash of cultures. The hustle and bustle of the city meets the serene simplicity of the Amish way of life. It's a genre bending thriller with a dash of romance, and Ford delivers a performance that's more than just action hero charisma. Part crime thriller, part cultural exploration, and all around excellent cinema. Witness should definitely be on your 80s movie watch list. Okay, full disclosure, I loved the 1986 movie Space Camp when it came out because at the time I had a crush on Tate Donovan. But there are many more reasons than Tate to watch this flick. It's the feature film debut of Joaquin Phoenix after all, but you'll notice that he's credited as Lee Phoenix and he was just 12 years old when this movie was made. Leah Thompson's also in the Space Camp cast, along with Kelly Preston, Tom Skerritt, and Mrs. Steven Spielberg herself, Kate Capshaw. Essentially, the story is about a group of kids who go to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama, to learn about NASA and get some astronaut training. But thanks to a quirky twist of fate, this bunch of young space cadets are catapulted into an unexpected journey into space when they accidentally find themselves aboard a real space shuttle. Now, I will say that Space Camp isn't Apollo 13 or The Right Stuff, so don't go into it expecting an epic space drama. This is an 80s teen drama with a number of recognizable faces who will likely mean more to Gen Xers than any other audience. But I wanted to put Space Camp on this list because it was a victim of the worst possible timing for its release, and a lot of Xers never got the chance to see it. This is because the movie was filmed in the summer of 1985 and scheduled for a June 1986 release, and it made it to screens exactly as planned. The problem was that in between filming and the premiere, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded on January 28, 1986, in front of every elementary and middle school aged child in America. That tragedy definitely discouraged many Gen Xers to give up any dreams of being an astronaut. But according to Leah Thompson, there are still a number of people who come up to her and tell her they became a physicist or an inventor because this movie inspired them. In the long history of Disney movies, the decade of the 80s isn't really one that sticks out for the Mouse House. But in 1986, they actually gave us an absolute gem when they released The Flight of the Navigator. The story begins in 1978 when a young David Freeman falls down a ravine and wakes up to find out that 8 years have passed and the world has changed around him. But he looks exactly the same, and from his point of view, he was only gone a few minutes. But everyone else thinks that he was abducted by aliens. To make things even crazier, he gets aboard a spaceship named Max, and it turns out that Max is not just a funky metallic flying saucer, he's got some serious time-traveling tricks up his spaceship sleeve. And the best part about Max is that he's voiced by legend Paul Reubens, who most people know as Pee Wee Herman. David and Max's journey through time and space is a roller coaster of futuristic technology, circa 1986, friendship, and the timeless struggle of trying to fit into a world that's moved on without you. A blend of time-traveling wonder, extraterrestrial friendships, and a healthy dose of 80s flair, Flight of the Navigator is a classic that deserves a YouTube reaction. The 1989 romantic comedy Chances Are is one of my earliest memories of Robert Downey Jr., and it's one of my mom's favorite movies, so I had to put this quirky charmer on my forgotten 80s movie list. The story begins with Louis Jeffries, a hotshot young lawyer and newlywed, meeting an untimely end in the year 1964. But that's not the end of Louis' story. Instead of going to the afterlife, Louis decides to take a detour back to Earth, and is instantly reborn and reincarnated into the body of Alex Finch. Fast forward 23 years later, and Louis' widow Corinne, played by the stunning Sybil Shepherd, is still grieving the loss of her husband. When she meets the young Alex, played by RDJ, who is dating her daughter Miranda, he starts to have flashbacks of his life as Louis, creating a really odd love triangle with a cosmic twist. I love this movie because Downey brings his signature charm, Mary Stuart Masterson adds a sprinkle of 80s sweetness, and Ryan O'Neal and Sybil Shepherd's comedic timing and chemistry is on point. The result is a delightful blend of romance, humor, and from the supernatural to the natural. This is one of two baseball movies on my list, and oh crap, now that I say that, I realize I need to add a third. I'll make that title 7A. Okay, so back to The Natural. This movie stars Robert Redford as Roy Hobbs, a baseball prodigy with a mysterious past. He's got the skills, the charisma, and a bat named Wonder Boy that seems to have some serious magical mojo. After overcoming personal setbacks and some serious curveballs from fate, Roy finally gets his shot at the big leagues, joining the fictional New York Knights, and becomes a baseball sensation, capturing the hearts of fans and etching his name in the annals of sports history. The Natural weaves a compelling tale of redemption, passion, and the timeless pursuit of greatness. Roy Hobbs' journey is a captivating exploration of the human spirit and the power of unwavering determination. What really stands out for me with The Natural is the cinematography and the music score. The film's visuals capture the nostalgia of a bygone era of baseball, and the score adds a symphonic grandeur that just elevates the emotional impact of the story. If you're in the mood for a sports movie that's not just about the game, but also about the triumph of the human spirit, The Natural is an absolute cinematic grand slam. Oh wow, now that I'm watching the clips of this movie, I see Glenn Close, and that reminds me of another title I need to add to the list. Okay, 7B. Okay, now that The Natural has sent me on a tangent, I have added number 7A to the list, which is Bull Durham, starring Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, and Tim Robbins well before he played Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption. This movie puts the audience in the world of minor league baseball, where Costner plays season catcher Crash Davis for the Durham Bulls, while Robbins is the young and talented hotshot rookie pitcher Nuke Lelouch, and Sarandon plays groupie Annie Savoy. The characters in this movie are fantastic, and the dialogue is some of the best you'll find in a sports flick. The scene that sticks out for me takes place on the mound with the pitching coach, which is a hilarious take on what really goes on during those mound visits. This movie can get quite spicy thanks to the love triangle, but there's also plenty of comedy and witty banter in this smart script that explores life, love, and the game of baseball. Okay, now on to 7B, the other movie I thought about while I was watching clips of The Natural, and that is Fatal Attraction. And it couldn't be any more different from Bull Durham or from The Natural. Seeing Close reminded me of Fatal Attraction. It's an iconic 80s flick about a married man named Dan, played by Michael Douglas, who has an affair with Close's Alex, and then quickly regrets it when she becomes an obsessed psycho. I don't know why this movie doesn't show up on reaction channels, but it should not be ignored, Dan. The bunny scene alone is worth it. Okay, I obviously love me some Glenn Close because here she is again in The Big Chill. This movie is from 1983, and I chose it because I think it's a fascinating look at baby boomers when they were in their 30s. Yes, boomers were once young and full of life. I know, it's hard to believe. The Big Chill is about a group of college friends who reunite after the self-deletion of one of their own. The film explores the complexities of friendship, relationships, and the passage of time. It has a stellar ensemble cast that includes Close, Kevin Kline, Jeff Goldblum, William Hurt, Tom Berenger, Mary Kay Place, Jo Beth Williams, and Meg Tilly. It should have also featured a young Kevin Costner in his first film role, but his scenes were cut. In addition to the incredible cast, this movie has an unforgettable soundtrack filled with Motown classics and thought-provoking dialogue that makes you realize some personal struggles are timeless. It doesn't matter what generation you're a part of. The Great Outdoors is a classic 80s comedy that brings together legends John Candy and Dan Aykroyd when they were in their prime. Their on-screen chemistry is pure gold, and honestly, every quirk and mishap makes me laugh. This movie is about Chet Ripley, played by Candy, who takes his wife and sons on the perfect family vacation to a picturesque lakeside cabin, but things take a hilarious turn when Chet's brother-in-law, the eccentric and larger-than-life Roman Craig, played by Aykroyd, and his quirky family show up uninvited, turning this serene getaway into a comedy of epic proportions. This is one of those family comedies that I loved as a kid, and yes, I had a crush on Chris Young, but Candy and Aykroyd absolutely steal the show. This is a fun flick that you can watch during a movie night with the kids, and everyone will enjoy it. I will admit that I have seen one reaction to Still Magnolias from Ashley Burton when she was doing her Dolly Parton movies, but that's the only one I've seen, and this movie deserves so much more. Still Magnolias is based on a true story, and it's a serious tearjerker that highlights the value of female friendships. There has not been a day that's gone by since 1989 where I haven't quoted this movie. There are so many good lines packed in that Southern Beauty Shop banner, and it's amazing how often a situation comes up when I need to use one of them in my own life. Aside from the dialogue and absolutely perfect characters, Still Magnolias is an 80s gem because of its amazing cast. Alongside Parton is Sally Field, Olympia Dukakis, Shirley MacLaine, Daryl Hannah, and a very young Julia Roberts. Seriously, just talking about this movie makes me want to watch it. I'm always up for a good cry. A Fish Called Wanda is a comedic masterpiece starring Kevin Kline and Jamie Lee Curtis that combines heist, romance, and downright silliness in the most delightful way. The plot revolves around a motley crew of criminals who team up to pull off a diamond heist in London. The chaos begins when the heist goes awry, leading to betrayal, double crossing, and a whole lot of absurdity. As the characters weave through a web of misunderstandings and comedic mishaps, the film keeps you on the edge of your seat, but not from suspense, from laughter. This film is a brilliant blend of clever wit and slapstick humor. The script, written by Monty Python alum John Cleese, is sharp and quick-witted, delivering punchlines and absurd situations with impeccable timing. It is a rare gem that seamlessly combines British humor with a touch of American flair. I added this movie to the list for my brother because it's his favorite from our childhood, and I absolutely love it too, to this day. Peewees Big Adventure stars the legendary Paul Reubens playing his quirky man-child character Pee Wee Herman as he goes on a cross-country quest to recover his beloved stolen bicycle. As Pee Wee embarks on his quest, the film takes audiences on a surreal and humorous ride filled with eccentric characters, unexpected detours, and bizarre encounters. Rubens brings his iconic character to life with boundless energy, and the film is a testament to his comedic genius. The imaginative and offbeat nature of the story, coupled with Pee Wee's peculiar charm, makes it a one-of-a-kind cinematic experience. Directed by the legendary Tim Burton in one of his earliest feature films, his visual style and knack for storytelling shine through, creating a world that's both whimsical and slightly dark with a touch of surrealism that makes it stand out. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a hilarious and unique blend of absurd humor and childlike wonder. Mystic Pizza. It's an 80s coming-of-age dramedy that comes with a side of romance. The story revolves around three young women who work at the Mystic Pizza restaurant in the coastal town of Mystic, Connecticut. Makes sense. Throughout the movie, the trio, who's played by Annabeth Gish, Lily Taylor, and once again a very young Julia Roberts, navigate the complexities of love, friendship, and family in their small, tight-knit community. As the three friends grapple with their own personal struggles and romantic entanglements, the film explores themes of identity, ambition, and the challenges of transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. Each character also has their own unique journey, which I think adds depth and authenticity to the narrative. Mystic Pizza is a charming and heartfelt portrayal of female friendships. It's a cinematic treat that captures the nuances of their relationships and highlights the highs and lows of navigating life's uncertainties. It's a feel-good classic that captures the essence of small-town life and the universal journey of self-discovery. The bonus of Mystic Pizza? You'll get to see a baby Matt Damon in his very first film role. Wildcats is a sports comedy with a mix of humor, heart, and Goldie Hawn's undeniable charisma. The plot follows Hans Molly McGrath, a determined high school track coach who breaks gender barriers by accepting a position as the head coach of an inner-city high school's struggling football team. Molly faces skepticism and resistance from both the school's administration and the players themselves, who initially dismiss her because she's a woman. As she battles stereotypes and works to instill a sense of teamwork and discipline, Molly transforms the ragtag group of misfits into a competitive football team. Along the way, she also faces personal challenges and navigates the complexities of being a single mom. Wildcats is a feel good sports movie with a blend of laughs and heartwarming moments. It delivers not only on the sports action, but also on the human stories behind the game. The film's themes of empowerment, perseverance, and breaking barriers resonate, making it an enjoyable watch for both sports enthusiasts and those who appreciate a good underdog story. It's pretty difficult to find a more 80s movie than Spies Like Us. This is a hilarious comedy that pairs up Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd in a spy spoof extravaganza. The plot follows two bumbling government employees, Chase's Emmett Fitzhume and Aykroyd's Austin Milbarge, who are unwittingly selected as decoy candidates for a top secret mission involving nuclear disarmament. Thrown into the world of espionage, the duo finds themselves on a globe-trotting adventure filled with misunderstandings, absurd situations, and a heavy dose of 80s political satire. As they stumble their way through the mission, encountering dangerous villains and unintentionally saving the day, the film just keeps the laughs coming. Spies Like Us doesn't take itself too seriously. It delivers a parody of classic spy movies with a generous serving of slapstick and witty dialogue. This is a nostalgic trip to the heyday of 80s comedy. It was directed by John Landis, and the film captures the spirit of the era, complete with its quirky characters, absurd humor, and memorable one liners. If you're a fan of classic 80s comedies, well, then Spies Like Us is a must. That brings me to Better Off Dead, starring 80s teen movie staple John Cusack. This movie takes the typical high school coming of age story and injects it with some offbeat humor and surreal elements, as it follows the misadventures of Lane Meyer. He is a high school student who is devastated when his girlfriend breaks up with him to date the captain of the ski team. So, to cope with his heartbreak, Lane decides that life isn't worth living and contemplates various absurd ways to end it all. Lane's fortunes take a peculiar turn, though, when he discovers a new love interest in the form of a French foreign exchange student named Monique. As Lane navigates the challenges of high school, skiing competitions, and a paperboy with a grudge, the film unfolds into a delightful blend of romance and dark comedy. Better Off Dead is a unique and zany take on the teen comedy genre. The film embraces its eccentricities, offering a distinctive blend of humor that ranges from the surreal to the slapstick. It also captures the angst, humor, and resilience of the teenage experience, which makes it a nostalgic and resonant watch for anyone who has survived the awkwardness of adolescence. Y'all, when I tell you that I wanted to be Elizabeth Shue after seeing this movie, I am not exaggerating. Adventures in Babysitting is an 80s teen comedy that transforms a typical night of babysitting into a wild urban adventure. The plot centers around Chris Parker, played by Shu, a high school senior who agrees to babysit the Anderson kids, but her plans for a quiet night at home take an unexpected turn when her best friend Brenda calls from downtown Chicago, who is stranded without a way to get home. Chris loads up the Anderson kids into the station wagon and heads to the city, but their journey to Brenda features everything from encounters with car thieves to singing the blues with a band. It's a quintessential teen comedy that captures the spirit of adventure and friendship. Whether you're an 80s kid or just a fan of classic teen comedies, I highly recommend Adventures in Babysitting. It is truly a movie that is a time capsule of the era. Eight Men Out is the final baseball movie on my list. This sports drama is about the infamous Black Sox scandal that happened during the 1919 World Series. It tells the true story of 8 Chicago White Sox players who conspired with gamblers to intentionally lose the World Series in exchange for money. Led by key players like Shoeless Joe Jackson, played by D.B. Sweeney, and Buck Weaver, played by John Cusack, the team finds themselves entangled in a web of corruption and betrayal. As the scandal unfolds, the players face moral dilemmas, legal consequences, and the tarnishing of their once stellar reputations. This compelling and well-crafted historical drama explores not only the scandal itself, but also the socioeconomic factors that contributed to the players' decision. Eight Men Out dives into the darker side of professional sports in the early 20th century and offers a thought-provoking exploration of morality and loyalty. It also provides a powerful and poignant commentary on the consequences of betrayal and the price of integrity. Catsey is a horror anthology film based on the works of Stephen King. It weaves together three distinct tales connected by a wandering cat with an uncanny ability to intervene in the lives of those in need. The feline protagonist, simply known as the cat, travels from story to story, serving as a mysterious and mystical link between the seemingly unrelated narratives. I added this movie to my list of forgotten 80s movies because I watched this when I was little and wow, did it make an impact. The first story revolves around a man played by the amazing James Woods who is trying to quit smoking. He enrolls in an unconventional smoking cessation program that you will not forget. As an 8-year-old, seeing those visuals and hearing that music, oh my god, it stuck with me for such a long time. And I still think about that story from time to time in my 40s. Cat's Eye is a chilling anthology that showcases Stephen King's mastery in crafting suspenseful tales. Each story offers a different flavor of horror, ranging from psychological terror to supernatural elements, making it an engaging and diverse viewing experience. Okay, I know I'm changing things up with this one because it's not what you think about when you think of an 80s movie. But I have to mention 1989's Henry V, the cinematic adaptation of Shakespeare's play of the same name. It is so good. I want everyone in the world to see it. Directed by and starring Kenneth Branagh in the title role, the film brings to life the epic tale of King Henry V of England and his campaign against France during the Hundred Years' War. The plot follows Henry's rise to power, his decision to claim the French throne, and the dramatic Battle of Agincourt. The film explores themes of leadership, patriotism, war, and the complexities of the human condition. It also includes some of Shakespeare's most iconic words, including the famous St. Crispin's Day speech. And oh my god, that speech, Brandon's performance, and the music behind it makes me emotional every time I see it. This film is a masterclass in bringing Shakespearean language to life on the big screen, making the timeless words accessible and engaging. And Patrick Doyle's musical score is one of the best, if not the best, in the history of movies, and I absolutely stand on that statement. Co-starring alongside Branagh is my favorite actress ever in life, Emma Thompson, and Henry V also features a 12-year-old Christian Bale in one of his very first film roles, but we'll talk more about him in just a minute. Dead Poets Society is another movie that had a major impact on me as a kid. It's a powerful coming of age drama that explores themes of individualism, inspiration, male friendships and camaraderie, and the pursuit of passion. Directed by Peter Weir and released in 1989, the film is set in the conservative Welton Academy, an all-boys prep school back in the 1950s. And the story revolves around an English teacher named John Keating, who's played by Robin Williams, and he employs an unorthodox teaching method to encourage his students to embrace poetry and literature and the pursuit of their own dreams. Keating's mantra, Carpe Diem, becomes a guiding philosophy for the group of young students and inspires them to question societal expectations and to follow their own paths. Williams delivers a remarkable and inspirational performance as Mr. Keating, and it is honestly one of my favorite movies of his, probably second only to Good Will Hunting. The cast also includes Ethan Hawke and Robert Sean Leonard, who are both fantastic. I would actually call Dead Poets Society a must-watch. It's a film that leaves a lasting impact and encourages viewers to reflect on their own lives, and overall, it's just a really good Robin Williams movie. I'm pretty sure it's against Gen X law to have an 80s movie list without mentioning John Hughes, so here we go. But I'm willing to bet this is one that most have never heard of. She's Having a Baby is a romantic comedy drama that Hughes directed and released in 1988. It stars Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth McGovern as young newlyweds, Jake and his wife Christy, and the story revolves around the challenges and adventures of the young couple as they navigate the complexities of marriage, career aspirations, and the impending arrival of their first child. The film humorously portrays Jake's internal monologues and fantasies, providing insights into his fears, aspirations, and the pressure to conform to societal expectations of men, husbands, and fathers. She's Having a Baby offers a realistic and heartfelt depiction of the trials and tribulations of early married life and impending parenthood. Hughes, known for his teen oriented films, brings a more mature and reflective touch to this story and captures the emotional roller coaster that many couples experience. This romantic comedy delves into the complexities of relationships and life transitions, and I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's a relatable and poignant exploration of love, commitment, and the journey to adulthood. 1985's The Falcon and the Snowman is a gripping espionage drama directed by John Schlesinger. It's based on the true story of Christopher Boyce and Andrew Dalton Lee, played by Timothy Hutton and Sean Penn, respectively, and a case that shook the nation. This film explores themes of espionage, betrayal, and the consequences of challenging authority. The plot revolves around Boyce and Lee, who are childhood friends that became entangled in a web of espionage when Boyce, a disillusioned employee of a defense contractor, decided to sell classified government information to the Soviet Union. The duo's actions led to a series of events that have far reaching consequences for their lives and for the security of the nation. The Falcon and the Snowman is a compelling and thought provoking exploration of moral ambiguity and the consequences of individual choices. The film delves into the motivations of its characters, highlighting the complex interplay of idealism, disillusionment, and personal responsibility. The dynamic between Boyce and Lee adds layers of tension and complexity to the narrative, making the audience empathize with their struggles, even as their actions raise ethical questions. So, if you enjoy intense and morally complex dramas based on true events, The Falcon and the Snowman is definitely a worthwhile watch, and I think it deserves a YouTube reaction. Even though the politics might be a little rough for someone that's a little bit younger, because they weren't around in the 80s, but still, I definitely watched The Falcon and the Snowman. Okay, let's lighten things up a bit and get back to comedy with this absolute guilty pleasure. Back to School stars legend Rodney Dangerfield as Thornton Mellon, a successful but uneducated businessman. He's dealing with a failing marriage and has a desire to reconnect with his son, so Thornton decides to enroll in the same college that his son is attending. What follows is a hilarious and unconventional journey of Thornton navigating the academic world and turning the college experience upside down. This laugh out loud comedy is driven by Dangerfield's trademark humor. His irreverent and self deprecating style definitely adds a unique flavor to this movie, and he creates a character who's both outrageous and endearing. The movie is a showcase for Dangerfield's comedic talent, which is why I love it, and his interactions with the college environment provide plenty of memorable moments, some that even include Sam Kinison. So if you're in the mood for a feel-good, laugh-out-loud comedy with a dash of 80s nostalgia, Back to School is a really good choice. Moving on to Just One of the Guys, a charming and witty teen comedy released in 1985 and directed by Lisa Gottlieb. The film follows the story of Terry Griffith, played by Joyce Heiser, a high school student who, frustrated by gender bias, decides to pose as a boy to prove that her journalistic talents are not limited by her gender. The plot takes a hilarious turn as Terry navigates the challenges of high school life from the perspective of a teenage boy. Along the way, she forms unexpected friendships, faces romantic entanglements, and learns valuable lessons about identity, friendship, and acceptance. In 1985, this was a fresh and entertaining take on the classic teen comedy genre. The film cleverly explores themes of gender roles and stereotypes while maintaining a light and humorous tone. The gender-bending premise adds a unique twist to the typical high school narrative, and Heiser delivers a standout performance, and I'm sure she was the subject of many crushes in the 80s. Set in the summer of 1963, Shag follows four friends, Carson, Milena, Pudge, and Luann, on a road trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for one last carefree adventure before they embark on their separate paths after high school. The story unfolds against the backdrop of a shag dance contest, a popular dance style in the South at the time, and the friends navigate love, friendship, and personal growth as the film explores themes of independence, self-discovery, and the complexities of transitioning to adulthood. This movie offers a delightful escape to a bygone era filled with music, dance, and youthful exuberance. It features a talented ensemble cast of Phoebe Cates, Bridget Fonda, Annabeth Gish, and Paige Hanna, with each character bringing a unique personality to the story. Shag is truly a hidden gem that combines nostalgia, dance, and the timeless themes of friendship and self-discovery. The fact that Funny Farm is a forgotten 80s movie just breaks my heart. This movie is so funny. I would say that it's probably the best one Chevy Chase has ever made, and that includes his vacation movies. Funny Farm is a delightful comedy released in 1988, and the story follows Andy Farmer, played by Chase, and his wife Elizabeth, played by Madeline Smith Osborne, a couple who decide to leave the craziness of New York City to pursue a quieter life in the countryside. The couple buys a charming farmhouse in the idyllic town of Redbud, hoping for a peaceful and picturesque existence, but their dreams of tranquility are soon shattered as they encounter a series of comical and increasingly absurd events. From quirky neighbors to troublesome wildlife and eccentric townspeople, Andy and Elizabeth find themselves in one hilarious situation after another. Funny Farm is a classic Chevy Chase comedy with his signature humor on full display, and Smith holds her own right alongside him. This movie is a relatable and heartwarming exploration of the challenges of adapting to a new lifestyle. But there's so many flash forwards and flashbacks, I think there's even a flash sideways. Okay, that's a line from the movie that my mom and I still use to this day when describing a book or movie we don't like. So anyway, Funny Farm absolutely deserves a YouTube reaction. It is also the perfect choice for a movie night, no matter if it's for a date or for a family get together. Definitely put Funny Farm on your 80s movies watch list. If you want the perfect 80s comedy double feature, I recommend following up Funny Farm with a viewing of The Money Pit, starring Tom Hanks and Shelley Long. The story follows Walter Fielding, played by Hanks, and Anna Crowley, played by Long, a couple who decide to purchase their dream home. But their dream quickly turns into a comedic nightmare when they discover that the house is in dire need of extensive repairs. As Walter and Anna attempt to renovate the house, they encounter a series of escalating and often absurd challenges, from collapsing staircases to malfunctioning plumbing. The film humorously captures the frustrations and pitfalls of home ownership, turning the couple's attempts at domestic bliss into a chaotic and uproarious adventure. Money Pit is absolutely hilarious, as Hanks and Long deliver fantastic performances. The film is a testament to physical comedy and slapstick humor. The on-screen chemistry between Hanks and Long adds a genuine and enduring quality to the movie, making it not just a series of comedy mishaps, but there's also a heartwarming story in there with some resilience and love as themes. The penultimate title on my ignored 80s movie list is one that still holds a very special place in my heart. It's Cant Buy Me Love, which centers around the character of Ronald Miller, played by Patrick Dempsey, aka McDreamy, a high school outcast who seizes an unexpected opportunity to change his social standing. The plot kicks off when Ronald, hoping to become popular, enters in a deal with the most popular girl in school, Cindy Mancini, played by Amanda Peterson. The deal involves paying Cindy a significant amount of cash in exchange for her pretending to be Ronald's girlfriend for a month. But as the plan unfolds, unexpected emotions, challenges, and life lessons arise for both Ronald and Cindy. This is the perfect teen comedy that explores themes of popularity, self-discovery, and the true meaning of friendships and relationships. Patrick Dempsey delivers a charismatic performance as Ronald, transforming from a social outcast to a more self-assured individual throughout the movie. He goes from totally geek to totally chic. This movie came out when I was in 7th grade, and I was convinced that this was what high school was going to be like. Spoiler alert, it was not. But to this day, I still would love to buy a white cabriolet convertible like the one Cindy drives in the movie, and I still find time to dance the African Indian ritual when the mood strikes. So definitely put Can't Buy Me Love on your 80s movie list. Okay, we have come to the title that inspired me to make this video. The final movie on my neglected 80s movies list, and the one that most certainly deserves a YouTube reaction, is Empire of the Sun, a 1987 war drama from Steven Spielberg. It's based on J.G. Ballard's semi-autobiographical novel of the same name, and it's set in World War II following a young British boy named Jamie, played by a 12-year-old Christian Bale. Jamie lives in Shanghai, and as the war engulfs the region, he becomes separated from his parents during the Japanese invasion, and Jamie's left to fend for himself in a world that's just turned upside down. He ends up in an internment camp, experiencing the harsh realities of war, loss, and survival. The movie chronicles Jamie's journey from a privileged and sheltered life to his struggle for survival and self discovery in the midst of war. Empire of the Sun is a powerful and emotionally resonant war drama that captures the human side of conflict. Spielberg masterfully tells the story through the eyes of a child, providing a unique perspective of the impact of war on innocence. Bale delivers an extraordinary performance and showcases his talent as a young actor and singer. The film's cinematography and Spielberg's direction contribute to its visual and emotional impact, and he just creates a compelling narrative that just stays with you long after the credits roll. If you appreciate well-crafted, emotionally charged dramas set against the backdrop of historical events and just happen to have two amazing actors in it like Bale and John Malkovich, well then Empire of the Sun is a cinematic masterpiece that you must watch. It's a poignant exploration of the human experience in the face of adversity, and it blends stunning visuals with a captivating story. Prepare for an immersive journey through war-torn Shanghai and the transformative coming-of-age story of a young boy named Jamie. So, what do you think of my neglected 80s movie list? Have you seen reactions to any of these, or are any of these on your list of favorites? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoy videos about Gen X and 80s and 90s pop culture and want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Okay, bye!